Today topic is going to be on something called as frustration backlog management. I'm going to share some of my perspective about why few set of practitioners. I would not say by and large all practitioners will hate agile, but there are a set of people or set of practitioners I have met, at least in my journey, who don't like agile or who hates agile, not because of by nature, but because of the whatever the reason it could be. And let's collectively explore this. You may be wondering, but as we start, probably you will realize that yes, my team or my organization is going through some of these frustrations, and we'll discuss a little bit about how do we tackle it, what is the secret sausage to take care of some of these elements. So a quick introduction about myself. My name is Manjunath Rao. So been in the industry for last 16, 17 years, been part of multiple organizations, have played the roles like Scrum Master, Product Owner, Agile Project Program Manager, and of late I've been working with teams and individuals more in the Agile training and coaching mentoring space. So it's privilege to be here to share some of my perspective. So let's try to
And
understand the today's
sorry, I
topic.
would like to
And if
add
you,
something. I would like to add
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
Vijay.
so unlike agile coaches across the world, there are very few who know the hardware world and connecting agility to it. So I mean, Manju is one of them. So we actually work into the companies like Siemens and others, wherein hardware space is there. So definitely that's one of the benefit that Manju has, and he also shares a lot of it when he takes with us the agile coaching certification sessions like CAT, IC Agile CAT, and IC Agile ENTs. He is being loved by a lot of people in the recent times for his trainings. So yeah, if you are interested, you're welcome. Yeah, carry on, please.
Thanks, Vijay. So let's explore and couple of like any agile events or ceremonies or workshops. So a couple of maybe we can have a working agreement, make it interactive. Any point of time, since I am more on a presentation mode, I may not be able to see if you maybe raise your hands and things like that. So feel free to stop me, share your perspectives, or Vijay will help me if there are any questions or thoughts coming in. Please, let's share it. With that context, so let me move on. So we are all living in a VUCA world, which is all known to us, right? Very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. The classical example is, the corona, which we're all dealing through. We don't know what's happening to the business, what's going to happen to the business. And there is an interesting joke which is circulating in WhatsApp. You would have seen who was the pioneer, or who is the person who drove your digital transformation of your organization, and people are saying corona, right? So the new world realities are changing, and so is with the adaptation or the flexibility or agility of business agility of organizations have to change. So I'm not talking about an IT world. Any organization, any business for that matter, now talks about business agility, resilience, quicker time to the market, customer collaboration, coming out with innovative products as their need of an hour. So the challenges are emerging at the same time. The organizations are looking at multiple dimensions of product management, the new world of the new age workforce or work people prefer a new way of working compared to the classical way of working, and so on and so forth. So there are enough challenges. And if you look at all Fortune 500 companies, be it in IT or non-IT space, they use some or the other form of lean and agile way of thinking and working. And it's a proven concept. If you go to any leading journal like a CIO magazines or Harvard's or the Forrester or McKinsey's, everybody says that the agility. When I say agility, it doesn't mean that Scrum or a Kanban. So they are talking about the quick response to the change, and how do we bring in collectively a cross-functional team which can put together an amazing idea, concept, and throw it to the market and continuously improve. It could be a product, solution, or a service. So lean and agile way of working has been become a pillar or a strategic piece of most of the organizations. So in particular, what leaders are looking out or interested is, the bringing a leadership in a new VUCA world, which consists of a learning organization and so on and so forth. And of course, when it comes to methods and the frameworks and processes, it's already proven that the projects which are IT projects, or even the combination of hardware software kind of a projects which follow some or the other agile way of working, are less challenged compared to the classical or conventional way of projects, as reported by Chaos report. You may be familiar. This is one of the a well-known benchmarking organization who studies a lot of projects success and failures across the world. As per the latest Chaos report, it says the agile way reduces those risks and helps in better alignment to the objective of the organization. So no wonder you look at any job portal, you look at anywhere, you see the opening for agile roles, like it could be scrum master, product owners, agile coaches, agile program managers, release train engineers, and so many variety of it's picking up. It's a hot cake in the market for last couple of years. So, and all of us, of course, we are riding that wave, and it makes sense for us to really tune ourselves to this way of working and move on. But fortunately, unfortunately, what's happening is many organizations get into this way of, okay, let's embrace agility, let's get into lean and agile way of working. But how do we do it? So where do we start? Where do we get started? What is that magical sauce which will take us to from where we are, point A to point B? And most of the organization, believe it or not, at least where I have seen, or I have observed, or I've heard from coaches and practitioners, is what is big deal in agile? It's another way of, another process, another method, another framework. Let's do it. That's it. There's no big deal about it, right? So bring some trainer, he will give you some gyan about Kanban, Scrum, and something else, and tomorrow onwards we are agile. So this is the kind of mindset with which most of the organizations and departments get into an agile way of working. And no wonder the last 20 years has been so much happening in this specific arena. If you look at this landscape, this is nothing but, if you go to Deloitte, this is a list of all possible agile methods, techniques, and framework which is available in the world. See, if this is so complex, imagine how much chaos it is for an organization, for a leader, or forget that, even for an agile coach. When we get into an organization and help them to move towards agile way of working, we ourselves sometimes get confused. Where should I start? Where should I do it? What method should we teach them? What technique should we teach them? And since this is so much chaos which is happening around the world, what happens is most of the organization says, okay, let's do agile, let's get started. And because it's everybody is doing, we should also lose. I mean, we should do it, otherwise we're going to lose this. And many organizations have this mindset that if you don't show that we have agile way of working, we may not get projects, we may not get required billing and things on, so on and so forth. So, and the thinking process in many leaders is also that, okay, we need it just to showcase to the leader, I mean clients, that yes, we also have an agile framework, or somehow we need to get this agile done, hook or crook, let's get it done. And there are set of people who are who comes with this mindset that what is big deal in agile? This is like in any other method, it's a old wine in the new bottle, new avatar. So all the processes and some documents to be done, some framework is there, some role is there, and it's like how we did ISO or CMMI or any other process implementation or any other certification in the past. Let's do it, right? That's not a big deal. So this is the kind of mindset with which many organizations I have seen, or I have worked, or I have heard, they get into this trap. And what it results in is they will do something like this. Have you heard about this? Anybody in the call? We are actually not agile, but we are like agile, or agile like. We are Scrum, but we don't do this. Or we do upfront, first 4 weeks of sprint. First week we do all requirement analysis. Second week we do all design. Third week we develop. And last week we do integration testing. And there is a separate sprint to do system testing. Have you heard about this? And typical terms, we call it as a Scrum fall, right? Or a Scrum butt kind of a thing. or we have Kanban, but we use only to do, in progress, and done. And I think we are doing pretty good as a Kanban or Agile Fall. And the latest to this list is actually we don't follow SAFe as is, but we handpick few of that element of SAFe and we do something internally, or something hybrid scaling model kind of thing. Have you heard about any of these things, or have you noticed any of these models or failures in your
Yes,
experience?
most of them.
Okay.
Most of them in
Mm,
all the organizations.
okay. Any addition to this? Have you heard? Because this is what I have heard from many coaches and leaders. Yeah, we have Scrum Fall, we have Agile like. This is the most interesting talk of the town when
Hybrid.
coaches meet.
They will say hybrid.
Hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, few people use Jenkins, and we are experts in DevOps also.
DevOps, yes, exactly. Or the other classical example I've heard is, I don't want to name a tool, but you buy this tool, you deploy end to end, you are agile. If that
Yeah,
was the
like
case,
the
probably many
Jira,
organizations would have
Confluence,
been
these kind of tools, right?
whatever. I don't want to name it because
And
I'm not
there are
promoting
and
or
there are so
against any tool.
and there are so many tools which are built only to follow like the Scrum and Agile based ceremonies and all the things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just that they have tweaked everything how the industry works, like to know so that the companies can follow Agile more
yeah.
efficiently, but sometimes
Right.
fail.
True. So I don't want to name because I'm not against or in favor of any tools. Tools are tools, as there is a saying, right? A tool with a fool is still a fool, right? So we need to really weigh in, weigh out when we get into if a tool can help really in an agility. Of course, it helps because in a virtual world, tools are really saviors. We have seen last 2 years how there was a doubt in the community that agile coaches will vanish, scrum masters will vanish in an remote world because we don't need, because they were doing most of the being there in physically and helping them out and coaching and things like that. But now virtual tools are really helping us out to continue the journey of agility. So essentially what I'm trying to say here is, when you get into that let's do agile mode, this is what typically happens, and most of the organizations, they don't realize that they are in this trap, right? And what this leads to is building up something called as frustration backlog. You talk to people working in these organizations, uh, and I know there are organizations where they really hate coaches, they hate scrum masters, developers and testers and many of these people. And when I started talking to them, hey guys, why do you hate? I'm a nice person. Why do you have to be so much, worry about us? So they say, hey, we are not frustrated you as an individual, but we are frustrated because of your role or your process or your whatever you are bringing to the new way of working, kind of a thing. So this is what I have heard from many leaders as well as coaches. We have been doing this agile for a while, but nothing has changed. We just changed from earlier way of working to a new way of working. We put some boards, some fancy, color stickies, and we called the expert who was collecting requirement as product owner. Somebody was good in communication. We made it as a scrum master, but nothing has changed. Why are we doing this kind of a thing, right? And there are other people I have heard, some organizations where they went into lean and agile way of working, it did not work out. They came back to earlier way of working. They did everything and unwind and came back. And I have heard many organizations, they have this lean agile transformation, 2.0 version, 3.0 version kind of thing. Means they did once transformation, it was a failure. Again, they bring in new set of coaches, new set of leaders, and try it out kind of a thing. This is something I have heard from many organizations. Oh, we are unique. We are nowhere. We have arrived somewhere from the remote world. It doesn't work for us, and it's really frustrating kind of a thing. And this has been a really what I've been hearing, right? And from my view, the reason for frustration is when you get into any new way of working, like any other change, be it in personal life. This puts us from something called as comfort zone to more of uncertain zone. It leads to a lot of challenges within ourselves, challenging status quo kind of a thing. So it's natural tendency for us to get into that frustrations, and many a times it is by nature, and many a times it is the way we have looked at the intent behind agility. Many organizations lose the intent of agility, and we typically go and bulldoze, this is how we should be doing, this is the framework we should be doing it, kind of a thing. And obviously any of these, you take any agile framework, it's built on this inspect, adapt, and transparency. The moment transparency kicks in, not many people likes it. Many leaders don't like it, many middle level managers don't like it, and it results into many frustrations, right? And as Ken Schober says, Scrum is like your mother-in-law, right? It points out all the faults, but it is up to us. Should we really take all those faults? Should you convert it as an opportunity to improve, or continue to ignore? God has given 2 years, listen from 1 year and live out from the other. Or what do we do with it, right? So I've been hearing a lot of such frustration in the transformation journey. And with that, I wanted to have a little bit of conversation with you. Let's go to menti.com. And I want to hear what kind of frustrations have you heard from your teams where you have been supporting, where you have been a coach or you have been a practitioner. What kind of frustrations have you heard from different roles? It could be developer or tester or program manager or a leader. You got into agile way of working, but it's not helping and it's leading to many frustrations. What are those frustrations? Let's go to menti.com and let me project this. And before we go there, any questions or thoughts so far? Are we good so far?
Yes, Manu, we are good. I think it's basically people need to spend time and put effort. Nothing is easy. Agile is all about innovation. You have to put a lot of effort. So people are thinking it's very easy, and then they're not finding it, so they have frustration. They need some training and a transformation, education, things like that, Manju.
Sure, absolutely. So let's list down.
Hello, and
Manju,
Frustrations you have heard from different roles. Could be Scrum Masters or product owners or even developers and testers and leaders. And especially I also spent a good amount of time in quality management background, process management background. One of the community which is most frustrated with agile is this quality managers, right? Or quality analysts, right? Come on, what are you talking? No more metrics, no more comparison across the teams, no more benchmarking, baselining. How does this all thing fit into our ISO and CMMI and Six Sigma and many other things are happening? And so I've heard many such frustrations.
and especially Manjunath, so the top leadership, if they are not aligned to agile, this kind of frustrations definitely it will come. So actually, most of the top leaders, they are from waterfall background. So
Absolutely.
they don't entertain, and they used to tell agile is just an excuse.
Correct. We'll look into that. There is a point about leadership and yeah. What frustrations have you heard from people? Why they don't like agile way of working, or why they hate agile way of working?
I am Jaipal from Hyderabad.
Hi.
I am from QA team. I have a separate QA manager and I have a Scrum Master. Okay, my QA manager gives me some tasks, and my Scrum Master always says you focus on the Scrum only, Scrum related work.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that.
If I say something, I am the manager who is going to give the appraisal to you. These are my word.
Absolutely.
This frustration I have generally, and I'm reporting two people. Scrum Masters take my status every day, and also my QA manager.
Line manager is somebody else,
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Your appraisal manager is somebody else.
Yes, somebody else.
And he or she will be clueless as to what you're doing, because what you're doing on a daily basis is known only to Scrum Master.
Exactly.
No clarity. Yeah, role clarity is missing. Lack of ownership. Yeah, I have seen that many a time. I have heard that. Who owns this? This is a classical thing I hear from leadership, right? Leadership always want one neck to choke. Have you heard this word? One neck to choke?
Yes.
They want one person to be accountable for everything. And in Agile, we say, no, team is accountable for results. Team delivers, team improves, team retrospects, team owns, or team ensures that this is done. And leader says, I don't care. Tell me who is that? Is it Scrum Master? Is it project manager? Is it PO? whom do I catch hold if something goes wrong, right? Okay. Any further thoughts? Are you folks are done?
Yeah, usually the scrum masters will be scapegoat.
Yeah, it depends on the organization culture again, right? All right. So yeah, good. Keep adding, because this is something we can share it offline, and it basically helps you to build onto this database, and it helps you when you have your coaching conversations, when you're trainings, and when you're looking into a transformation. It becomes kind of a backlog, or a what not to do kind of a list, right? Typically we talk about to-do list, and this will become not to-do list. When you know this is the reasons why people get frustrated, you will be conscious why not to do some of these things. Okay, so I will share some of my perspective as to what is the frustrations I have heard or seen in my coaching conversations and interactions with different leaders and coaches. The most to start with agile, we talk about it's all about team, and it starts with a cross-functional team and things like that. Let's understand some of the frustrations team has expressed, right? So some of the guys I've heard, you know what, I don't like that daily scrum, daily stand-up meeting. It reminds me of a standard stand-up comedy show. Have you heard this from anybody? I don't want to give that update. Every day they are going to ask the same silly 3 questions, and I'm fed up of telling. I'm a qualified engineer. I know what to do. I am accountable. I get the things done. Why do I have to share my update to everybody in the team? Or there are other cases like, that guy is working on some piece which is nowhere connected to my piece. Why should I hear to that guy what he or she is doing? Have you heard this frustration?
Yes.
Okay. So this is another classical thing which I heard from few people, especially if you are in a hardcore product companies. They always prefer a scrum master plus a technical lead, or somebody who can do magics in all the places. Why do we need a scrum master who is not a technical background and who doesn't do any technical work? What he does is, or he or she does is, simply bossism, or put some charts, put some tasks, monitor something, and doesn't get his or her hands dirty in terms of code or test. Why do we need such scrum masters, right? So this is another thing I've heard. So I don't want to, and when we push teams to, you have to be transparent, you should share everything, everybody should know what's happening and things like that. They'll say, I don't want to share everything. Why do my team members need to know what I am doing, right? What is my space? What is my growth? What is my specialization there? Okay. So, and there are other extremes of organizations where they go to this new structures where teams are sitting together in an open space, and there's no more cubicles. Everything is open space and whiteboards, and everything is like a jazzy workspace startup kind of a thing, where no more cubicles. I have heard from many people, I don't like this. I prefer that privacy, my cubicle, my space. I want to put some of my stuff, my own materials, and I want to spend some time on Facebook or YouTube, or with my choice, and my personal emails. And if I'm sitting it openly, I don't feel comfortable. Why should I do that, right? And who is going to be my boss, as somebody rightly called out, right? Who is going to take care of my appraisal? Who is going to take care of my rewards and recognitions? Because scrum master says I'm not a team manager or a people manager, and there is somebody sitting somewhere different team, and he or she doesn't know what's happening here. I'm really thoroughly confused. Who is my boss? Who will help me, kind of a thing. So team is held accountable for everything. Then why do we need managers? Why do we need scrum masters? Why do we need delivery managers, right? If we have to own everything, and if we are getting blamed for everything, why do we need a management team, and so on and so forth? What is there to improve every iteration? It's for example, retrospective, right? This is something I've heard. We don't want to do retrospective every sprint. What is there to improve every sprint? It's a time waste. Why don't we retrospect once in, say, 3 months or release time? So in earlier avatar, in waterfall or other days, we used to do once in classical milestones or a release. That was better. So these are some of the frustrations I have heard, and no wonder. This is the starting journey. It depends on the maturity of the organizations and teams, and how you have seen agile being used as an intent. When we go without intent, and without explaining the principles and values and intent behind agile way of working or agility, this is what it leads to. Have you heard similar thoughts or conversations, at least in pockets?
Yes.
Any of you? All right. So next comes the developer, right? What are the typical frustrations which I have heard or anti-patterns I have seen when it comes to developers, right? So many of these developers are like typically hardcore technocrats, right? You give me any challenge problem in the world, I will solve it. But I don't want to talk to those customers, right? I don't want to give a demo. We have a scrum master, we have product owner, we have sales managers. Then what are they doing, right? Why are they getting paid? If I have to deal with customers, I have to show some of these demos, right? I don't want to talk to these choosy business folks. And no time to relax. Yeah, or at least in the earlier waterfall, we used to have that honeymoon luxury time of first 2 months, 3 months in requirement analysis and design and some kind of a prototyping, and later 2-3 months just struggle, develop, test and deploy, and you are done. You are free for next couple of months. But unlike here in agile, every sprint, every 2-3 weeks, it's you're getting hard pressed to release, hard pressed to work. This is not working, right? Earlier the waterfall or V model was better for me as a developer. Have you heard this? Even testers, right? They used to get maybe 1 or 2 months of load at the end, and just finish, and you're done for the entire maybe 6 months or a year. Unlike here, every sprint, every now and then you need to test, you need to take care of a thing. So continuous integration, again, I've met few developers who says that's a very bad idea, and I don't want to check in my code every now and then. I want to keep it in my developer machine. I want to play around with my set of code to ensure that what I build is right. Then I check in, rather than why do I have to check in very often and very frequent kind of a thing. So again, there are, and when we go and tell agile teams that, hey, you know what, there is no dedicated roles like documentation or config or testing. It's like E skills or C skills or T skills. We have to do everything end to end, and it's one team we need to take care. Why the hell? I am a developer. I don't want to do testing. I don't want to do configuration management and documentation. This is what I've heard from many of the top-notch developers as well. So pair programming, right? When it comes to pair programming, I have met few developers who are not comfortable. No, I don't want to pair and share my code. If someone is not comfortable, let them review. Why do I have to pair up kind of a thing, right? So changes are, and this is one more example I heard from developers. They say, you know what, there is nothing like frozen requirement. Everything keeps changing every sprint. Within the sprint, your story keeps changing, your specifications keep changing, acceptance criteria keeps changing. What do you guys think? I cannot handle so much of changes, right? And everybody is pushing changes to the deployment. This is crazy, right? This is what I have been hearing from many of the developers. Have you heard similar frustrations?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So similar way, testers are not spared. They have their own set of frustrations where you still have a separate team of development and testing and documentation and quality and all. This is a reality because many organizations are still moving towards that cross-functional, true one person who can take care of multiple things. So testers are again thoroughly confused. They say, where is requirement documentation? Where is specification? This funny colored chit which is there somewhere, do you think that is a requirement and feature? How will I test it based on that? Where is the detailed specification? Where is the design? How can I design my IT spec, system test spec, my acceptance test and a UAT? I can't do it just based on one of this card and user story, which is crazy. And this is another frustration. Many teams, they deliver all their stories and features only at the end of the sprint, right? And just testers are, boss, this has become a mini agile fall or a waterfall. The whole idea is to test as and when we do it. Rather, again, you are pushing everything towards the end, and you guys developers enjoy, but most of the time testers, end up spending the last 2 or 3 days of their sprint into typical, testing cycles, right? So continuous deployment. This is again saying, are you crazy? Are you sure that you want to do this continuous deployment pipeline kind of a thing? then how do we ensure IT and system testing and integration testing and acceptance testing and phases and all those? And this is more prominent if you are working in a more hardware software kind of a system. I understand if you are building a simple website or a app kind of a system, probably it's quite simple. You do automation, everything, and your pipeline will take care of many of these automated testing, and you're done. But unlike if you have a complex products, you need to have a verification and validation has to be done separate teams. There is a rigor required, there's a signatory required. How do we take care of this if you are talking about a continuous deployment kind of a scenario? Okay. Better stop doing agile, because many leaders I have seen, once we get into agile, they say no, only way is automation, 100% automation. Hey boss, understand not everything can be automated, but they're not listening. And this agile has made me crazy as a tester. We can't automate everything, there is a limit to it. Then so this is what I have heard from many testers. Do you echo with this? I know Anand is here, who is a QA or a test specialist from Australia. Is it fair?
It never gets materialized. Automation is something that they really want to do it, but no one does it until someone asks you to do it. You can never include automation as part of definition of done in any of Scrum team. I've never done it successfully.
Yeah, I see, Manju. Most of the times, most of the companies, automation is post the requirement is settled. It's stable, it's tested already, and it's working, so that they reduce the number of test cases for automation. That's the general state.
Yeah, we do automation like for N-1 sprint basically.
Okay.
But what
And
other
also-
frustrations have you seen, Anand? I know you're a tester, plus you come from a region where agile is still picking up in Australia, right? What has been your experience?
Well, when it comes to agile, I think most of the big organizations are actually properly going in a right direction in terms of implementing agile successfully. But all the challenges comes when the business is not aligned with the development team. When it comes to agile, they always follow a traditional way of delivery rather than an agile delivery. And when it comes to testing in terms of automation or anything, from agile point of view, you need to automate first before you get any feature implementation, and you need to keep run the automation before the feature implementation, and after implementing, do minor change and run the automation and make sure that the feature is implemented properly and it finish the acceptance criteria. But what happens is, because of the delay in the feature implementations that happens, automation will never be materialized. And at the end of the day, the automation has to be the most important thing for the business to do a successful delivery, because that is something that they have to run it for the next successive releases, which they never do it. It's one of the organizations that I worked, automation, we started in the beginning of the sprint. It was like a sprint zero that we started. In the beginning of the sprint, we started it. We were able to do it only 1 or 2 sprints, hardly, and after that everyone forget about it because it was not a priority for them. So yeah, these are all the different things, and still the company is learning how to successfully do it. But at the end of the day, they have to prioritize that the automation also has to be part of the delivery and the definition of done. Then only we can successfully do it in an agile way.
Absolutely.
There is a very interesting proposition in the room. Harsha from Canada, she's saying that they do automation for N-1 sprint. Harsha, does that mean you do automation now and then you implement the story in the next sprint, right?
No. N-1. It's not N+1. It's like now we are in sprint 8, so we do automation for sprint 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Again, in that case, I would say that it is not a definition of done, because once you are tested with that particular feature, it's done. You just need to wash your hand and then go on to the next one. It means that you're still working on that particular feature, which is part of automation.
Yeah, so various organizations have their own.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, even.
Right.
Yeah, true.
All right.
And
So
another, sorry. The another frustration what I am commonly seeing is all the developers and testers. So why I should update the task regularly, daily?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even if they update, that is not accurate.
correct.
So the
Correct.
original estimate is equal to completed hours. Just they will map it and they will make it 0 remaining hours.
Correct. Or I have heard if we have to do everything, then why there is a scrum master? If I have to update task, if I have to put everything, raise impediments, add task, and pull the story, what is scrum master doing then?
And the another thing is, what I am observing is almost 99%. The burn down chants are not true.
Yeah. True. All right. Let's hear from our managers. What do they think? What frustrations I have heard. And this is a classical examples which day-to-day basis coaches deal with, because we have to take care of them, because they are the ambassadors, or they are the flag bearers and things like that, right? So there are organizations where I have seen when they move to this agile scrum way of working, organizations say, you know what, you are a senior manager, but you end up handling 3 scrum teams, right? They say, what are you talking? I am a senior manager. Come on, you want me to only manage 3 scrum teams? That's not fair for my grade or my designation or my capability and things like that. The other classical example is when your agile contracts are not taken care properly, right? And especially if you're in a service kind of an organization, this is a big thing. Somebody goes and sells that, yes, we have agile capability, give a fixed price project, we will deliver in an agile way. And like, come on, what are you talking? Agile project with a fixed price, where the scope is fixed, your schedule is fixed, your everything is fixed, and why do you want to run it in an agile way, right? What is in it, kind of a thing, right? And of course there are I've heard from one of CEO of a company. He said, I don't care whether you follow agile or anything, whatever you promise, you have to ensure you deliver it to the promise of the customer. Work on Saturdays, weekends, holidays, I don't care, kind of a thing. Then what is the motivation for teams to look into agile as an alternate? Because the earlier way of working, earlier models of contracting, earlier the rigidity of the milestones and keeping everything fixed was not working, and that's where the new way of agile way of working to tackle the flexibility and changes. But still, that contract things are, if they're not taken care, it's again this thing. So this is another classical example, and maybe here our coaches to be blamed, because many a times we go and oversell this concept of servant leader, right? We keep on using this. Hey, you know what, Scrum Master, project managers, you're all servant leaders, and you should be a servant. It should be a leader. Come on, what are you talking about? What is the servant? Who is the servant? I'm a leader here. I'm a manager. Whom do you talking about as a servant? This is another a concept or a webinar itself. Me and Vijay were designing it. The essence of servant leadership, right? Who is a servant and who is a leader? Unless the whole intent or message is not understood correctly, right? Many leaders, managers read this servant leader as a misnomer, a misleading. And in fact, there was a lot of debate going on on various blogs and the internet, that servant leadership is no more relevant in agile. What you need is a host leadership and things like that. So there's no end to it, actually. So the other frustration is, many organizations, if you are a typical business, end-to-end business, plus IT is one group of it, only IT teams are doing agile. Rest everybody is having fun. They have their own way of working. You place an order to procure something, it takes 6 months. You go out to finance to get some approval, they say, you give me a yearly budget. I don't care about sprint wise or quarterly release. HR, again, they work in a their own way, or recruitment works in their own way. Then the frustration builds in the leaders and managers, that first you bring them to agility, then let's talk about agile in our team. Otherwise there's no fun of doing it only in IT kind of thing, right? So this is another classical example. When the agile transformation happens, you bring somebody, label them as a scrum master plus project manager plus people manager plus account manager, and there are projects I have seen, even product owner is also project manager and scrum master. And what are you expecting this person? Is he or she is a superwoman or a super hero, Superman, to deliver everything? Come on, this builds up a lot of frustrations, and You have seen that is very evident even on results on the team and team members and even on the company results, right? So is it fair, or have you heard similar things from any leadership roles or manager roles? I assume that
Yeah, I
silence.
heard all of them.
Okay, all right. So
I
And
will just share
recently,
few things.
yeah,
Few things. The frustration. I'm working for one of the big international bank. Okay, and the frustration what I see over there, they have established a very well defined from top down approach. They have a defined NWOW kind of a things, a new way of working, and they have gone through all the different framework or scaling framework, and they customize according to that. And at the top level, they have implemented it also. So as a agile coach, I have been given a couple of they follow a Spotify model, and in a Spotify model you have a squad and tribe and kind of but within that you follow a Scrum, Kanban kind of
right.
And each tribe level has been given some kind of they have a goal and what according to the earlier the account was there, and now that becomes a kind of a tribe, and they have been given these are and each tribe you have some kind of a squad. What I found the problem which is they have is resources, and they have given the workload is too much.
Yeah,
they are following a Scrum, but the way a story is to be written, the acceptance criteria to be written, they are not bothered about it. Mindset is the one.
Yeah.
And in order to have their mindset, they don't have time, and they have a very aggressive timeline they have been given. And when I'm trying to see that is let us try to implement, then I am just thinking of to whom I am reporting. They are taking, don't pressurize them to follow the steps. You have to go slowly in such a way that is these people adopt, but delivery should not be impacted.
Yeah.
And that is the senior manager level, they have a agenda. They are going by what is the level of maturity of each tribe or a squad is having. And when you go by this, and they have a maturity, the assessment tool is there, where you have to go, and then you will be finding only 20%, 30%, 40%. The frustration goes to the management, and the team, they have a very aggressive implementation schedule. Even if I'm asking, please implement these things so that it will, but if I'm going to implement this, I will be losing this. So I'm going very slow, rather than aggressively asking that you have to follow this and this. Everything, process, procedure, things are all in place. Requires is some kind of a mindset to start following. So that is the frustration. This is at the senior level, and the ground level, people are not having time. They are so pressurized.
Yeah.
So those kind of frustration I have seen there.
Absolutely.
Okay, over to you, Manjunath.
Yeah, I agree. That's the most common thing we have heard, right? So when leaders get pressure from top, so we usually put it on the teams to go ahead and deliver it, kind of a thing.
And they want everything. They want the target to be achieved, delivery to be achieved, and at the same time, they want their people to be the right mindset for the agile implementation.
Yeah, and they have to be happy.
These are the things.
Work-life balance. Yeah. And I'm also in the process. I have also met Scrum Masters. Forget other roles. Even the ambassador of Agile, who is coach, team coach, they get frustrated as a Scrum Masters because they don't get liberty or freedom to do their role as a true Scrum Master.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I have heard Yeah, if you are a Scrum Master, what would you do for 8 hours, 8.25 hours? I don't know. Where do you spend? So instead of one team, why don't you handle 3 teams? There are 4 teams, right? Or if you're a technical person, they expect you to do Scrum Master plus coding or testing or BA, whatever you do it, right? And there are a lot of myth about this particular role, especially in leadership role team and many organizations I have seen. It is another coordinator job. It is another postmaster job. Why do you want to hire and pay so much to this role? Why do you want to hire somebody from from outside? Though anybody who is good in communication and coordination, or maybe somebody who is not doing good in any other role, just put them as scrum masters. This is another thing I've seen. When the reorganization happens, there are some people, typically we call deadwood, right? Put them as scrum masters. They will do it anyway. It's a postmaster job. They have to coordinate and send some emails here and there, kind of thing. The entire your transformation get derailed, and for years transformation will get stuck. Nothing will happen. So yeah, and this is another classical frustration I heard from Scrum Masters, and this is again organization and the quality systems to be blamed if it is not aligned. You are running projects in an agile way, and you are expecting all type of weekly report, monthly report, this metrics report, that conventional thing, earned value management, your cost overruns, schedule overruns, effort overruns.
Yes.
Come on, like you're running in an agile way, and your metrics have not changed, and obviously the scrum master will get frustrated in terms of reporting, right? Our project managers will get reported. And this is another classical we talked about, put all the role into one bucket, one show. Anyway, we are paying so much, make him or her scrum master, project manager, people manager, product owner, whatever is required, coordinator, and plus contribute to COE, do this and all. So this poor person, he or she will get frustrated and say, boss, enough is enough, right? Yeah, time all kind of reports and metrics. And as I said, quality managers are also not spared. So since many organizations have a very rigid quality management systems in place, which need to be followed, protocols to be met, compliance to be met, audits to be done, and these guys come with their own world. They ask, okay, where is the documentation? Where is the guidelines? Where is the checklist? Where is the how do we ensure if you are following more on this post-it and some no documentation? How do we get CMMI? How do we get ISO certification, FDA certifications, and all those stuff, right? And the classical coaches, we all teach, hey, quality is owned by team, and we don't need somebody externally to come and preach about, the quality. Then quality manager, what is my role? Where am I? Why am I required then? If DOD is taken care by team, we don't need external audits and assessment. Then how do we do? What do we do? It kind of thing. All other governance process to be in place, and all metrics to be tracked. And the biggest struggle I have seen is between quality team and coaches team, right? These guys don't talk to each other, or most of the organization, they don't come from the same team, or even if they come from the same team, they don't align because their thought process is different. The quality managers think that everything is believe but bring data, and inspect, do a well audit and assessment, then only believe, kind of thing. And they always think there is a problem in the process, whereas coaches think, yeah, problem is there everywhere, but that is where we are there to help them to improve the process and things like that, right? So there's always conflict between these two roles, right? And and we typically in agile, we talk about continuous delivery, continuous documentation, ongoing things. So quality managers again get frustrated. Come on, what is there? What should I? They have to reinvent their entire role to fit into this entire scheme of things. So this leads to a lot of frustrations, right? Different levels, different people, different roles. So we have been talking about the frustration so far. So let's maybe spend the next 10 minutes. I know we're running late by, say, maybe we take another 5 to 6 minutes or 8 minutes to summarize. How do we move from being a frustration backlog to fruition backlog? Or how do we manage this frustration, right? Instead of just doing agile, let's get into be agile kind of a mode. So again, here I want to spend some time to hear your perspective. What do you think can be done to, what can be tested, or what can be done to handle this frustration? What do you think can be done to manage some of these frustrations, what you have been hearing so far? So let me write
Yes,
it.
Manju. Yeah, Manju. I think very interesting discussion, very intellectually brainstorming, and a lot of curiosity. Thanks for the wonderful session, Manju. See, the thing is, people with waterfall mindset inside agile clothes, if they wear every day, I get up and wear a branded shirts, and doesn't mean that I am suddenly agile transformation agent, right?
Right.
This is not easy.
Correct.
Innovation, intellectual capability, everybody needs to undergo some training and brainstorming. A lot of intellectual thinking is required. It doesn't mean that so many ceremonies are there. We conduct all together one ceremony. Why to waste some time? That thinking, that waterfall is thinking has to go. But anyway, however, I agree with your points. But across the world, 90% of the teams anyway they have moved to Agile, right? Whether they like it or not, they lose business or not, but something like that, sustainability or not.
Correct.
More than 90% teams have moved to Agile. I think something good is happening.
Right.
I feel, Manju.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
absolutely. So, and this is where if you go and read any industry benchmarks, and in fact, we did, couple of us as a coaches, we did a deep study of multiple organizations, practitioners, to ask them, how can we help in this journey? And even if you look at State of Agile by version 1, or the Scrum maturity assessments by Scrum Alliance, Business Agility, recently they published their annual reports or survey reports, right? Very evident is the culture and the mindset part of it, because practice is by far pretty easy, sir, as you rightly said. Anybody can learn Scrum or a Kanban just by using YouTube or some book or attending 2 days of training. What is difficult is the adaptation or the cultural change part of it, or the mindset part of it. That's where all of us as the practitioners, specifically the coaches and scrum masters and leaders, we play a very key role in terms of bringing that being agile rather than doing agile mindset. Let's spend, maybe I will share a couple of point of view from my side, what has worked, what I have seen based on my experience, collective experience with different organizations and coaches whom I've been working with. Fortunate to work with many leaders and coaches like Vijay and few biggies of the name in the world, like CECs and CSTs and SPCTs. I have been working with them in multiple transformations and products and engagement. This is what some of the magic I have seen, because believe it, when a company hires you as a coach, they expect that you bring in a magic. We don't bring in a magic. The magic is in the people, magic is in the teams, but we help them to uncover that hidden the magic, right? By coaching conversations, asking the right set of questions, showing them some examples, and throwing them some samples and videos. How does the journey look at the end of the tunnel? Why we should be doing it? Involving the leaders upfront in the conversation, and having a series of leadership workshops to bring that mindset and alignment. And change management is the key. You cannot run it like another initiative, like many other organizations, like how they roll out some tool as an initiative. Everybody get onto this board and you start using it. The agile or Kanban rollout cannot be. The tool can be, or maybe even process can be rolled out, but not this as a change in the mindset, as you rightly said, sir. The culture and philosophy alignment, because many organizations, they have that command control mindset. Their business model is such that they have to control the outcomes. Then rather go with some pragmatic approach rather than saying, hey, we blend agile but at the same time, kind of a thing, right? And engagement model with customers or the clients. If you are working on a fixed price, fixed scope, military kind of a contract, then your model should be different, right? Or you can embrace the agility still with some element of the inspect, adapt, and Kanban, or some elements, rather than trying to fit the entire agile framework. Because if nothing is going to change there, if everything is clear, why do you enforce agile way of working there, or a Scrum or a Kanban way of working, right? Fail fast, fail safe. PDCA is a thing, and hiring the right coach and right servant leaders, because this is again what we have seen in the industry is, because of the boom and availability of so many jobs, any another person who has done 2 years of Scrum Master or some role, they say, hey, I'm a coach now, I can help you. And many organizations, they don't look into the depth of the coaching or the experience or expertise a coach brings onto the table, and just they go hire because that person is available for maybe lower price than the other. So you end up hampering your progress or the journey, right? And even hand-picking the leaders, Scrum Masters or program managers will be key. Some of the thing which I have seen or worked. Vijay and I worked on one of these internal framework called Agile Clinic, where you handpick internal talents, handpick internal evangelists, and you help them to grow as a coaches. Need not be coaches, but agile leaders, potential leaders. Help them to bring in these elements of mindset and let them be the ambassador of change, rather than, yeah, even if you want to hire 50 coaches, it's not possible. Like maybe with a set of coaches, create another army of people internal to the organization who can sustain this continuous journey. And of course, there are many other methods and which is tried and tested, which I know you would have done it, or you maybe continues to do it. Run the agile transformation in an agile way. Don't push big bang transformations, right? Do it in pockets, experiment, adapt based on your culture, your organization context, what works, what does not work. And that is what Spotify also did it. Honestly, Spotify is not a model, right? They started with similar, smaller agile experimentation. They continue to modify it, and then they carry forward. Your agile COEs, your the communities play a very key role. Frequently have these open space, lean coffee conversations, organization impediment boards, the cultural aspects. So some of these will help, and leadership coaching is definitely needed. Unless this is done, probably you all know it, right? And have a frequent check-in mechanism, pulse checks, health checks, happiness index, failure story sessions, what has not worked, what is anti-patterns. So if you bring in some of these elements, the frustrations will come down, and the organization will start seeing a natural progress towards that. And of course, one of the key element of any agile transformation or agile coach brings onto the table is something called as transformation mastery. It's a huge topic. As Vijay was talking about, there are specialization courses and the objectives and workshops are available. How do you build this transformation mastery? I would encourage to explore and some of these programs, and maybe you can build some of your muscle there. And just with that, I want to just say that let's not kill practitioners. Be agile and then do agile. And of course, this is a journey; it will never stop. And we should enjoy this journey, at the same time make others happy. With that note, let me stop here and